Standing there, Miranda shifted her weight to her other hip. She watched Cove patiently with a bashful smile. Welcome back. Thanks. It finally felt official. Everyone was together in one place. From here, you weren't sure how often you would have another afternoon like this again. They didn't either. Cove. Terry poked Cove square in the chest. You're gonna have to get me your schedule by this time yesterday. You're gonna have to get me your schedule by this time yesterday.
No way.
Not really possible, Terry, but I can say as soon as I know. So far, work hasn't said anything, but I can tell you've been busy with Orca activities. When Cove wasn't at his part-time job or pursuing his academic interests, he volunteered for the Ocean Restoration California Affiliation, Orca. The group focused on cleaning up beaches and removing pollution from the ocean. Cove always loved the sea. It didn't surprise you one bit when he started getting involved with them. It was Cove's activity. You joined Orca too after learning about it. You were an Orca member, introduced Cove to it. It was Cove's activity. Their big smash event for the year is coming right up, isn't it? Yeah, there's not that much more to do before then, but I'm kind of looking forward to the fundraising push. You nodded, wondering how the event would turn out this year. I know you can do it, and even if it goes really bad, it'll still look good on a college application at least. That's true. Hey, guess what else? We don't have to stand here to say stuff. Let's go. I would like a meal now. Perking up, Cove nodded in agreement. Yeah, I'm hungry. Time to head out. The four of you headed into town, happily chatting the whole way. The only decision left to make was where exactly to stop and eat. The rest of the afternoon and evening passed by in a blink of an eye. When night fell, it was time to head home, and you parted ways with Miranda and Terry. You and Cove reached your neighborhood without event. It was late enough that your out-of-the-way street was dark and silent. You were walking tiredly after such a long day. You strolled with a skip in your step. You ambled along. No, I had a lot of energy back then. Days like today, filled with good food and good company, left you feeling energized. As you walked alongside Cove, you peered at his face out of the corner of your eyes. You wondered why he felt so distant to you. You knew Cove well enough to know this wasn't new for him, but this felt more than usual. For a while, Cove silently stared ahead and left you alone with your own thoughts. It surprised you when you did hear his voice all of a sudden. He still wouldn't look at you. It feels weird coming back to the neighborhood and trying to get into things like they're the same, and they're not. They've changed. They're still changing. Your mouth felt uncomfortably dry all of a sudden. It was true. The things that kept the people you knew together were starting to disappear. Each person had to make their own priorities and their own path now that it wasn't set for them. You thought about your own immediate future. You were still set on that for yourself. You wanted to go to school full-time, to go to school part-time, to work full-time, to work part-time, to focus on time that's not school or work, to go to school full-time. To work full-time, to work part-time, to focus on time that's not school or work. And that was the basics. To focus on time that's not school or work. And that was the basics. For your education, you thought you'd attend a community college, attend a public university, go to a private college, join a trade school, take online classes. I think I said attend a public university. I'll say go to a private college. Then attend a community college, university, join trade school, take online, and that was all. For yourself, you wanted to work on self-improvement on your own. Take some time to relax. Yeah, take some time just to relax. Work on self-improvement on your own, and that was all. And for that, you wanted to stay local. Go to a different part of the state. Go out of state. Go abroad. Travel around to different places. Derek's not here, so it doesn't matter. I said stay local last time, so go to a different part of the state. Go out of state. Go abroad. Travel around to different places. Go out of state. I'll say go out of state, not go abroad. It maybe like go. I want to go where Derek went. Wherever Derek went to college, that's where I want to go. It'll all be happening so soon. You already applied to schools. You already started to prepare for what's coming. You hadn't begun to do anything yet. You already applied to schools. And you'd been open about your situation and everyone knew. And you only spoken about this with family and close friends. And you kept all this to yourself. And you've been open about your situation and everyone knew. Now you wondered what Cove had in mind. You'd heard him consider some things for his future, but it was never anything that would have counted as a real plan. Making it back home, you both stopped in the middle of the street. Cove sighed. Awkwardly, Cove rubbed his arm and looked at you. It was like he knew what you were thinking. I couldn't have a plan for any of that. The future and stuff? Not really. But all I know is that I'm not going to decide this summer. You're not? No, I can't do it. It's too fast. I'm not ready, so I'm going to stay here. At least it's Sunset Bird. I'll probably move out of my dad's place. He looked away from you now. You could tell he was carefully putting his thoughts together. Maybe I'll know what I want for myself by fall or next year, or maybe I'll never have a plan. Life will continue on with whatever's happening. I'm not gonna crush myself trying to have everything figured out by a timeline that someone else has set. I just can't do it. Good for you, Cove. I respect that. His brow furrowed and his tone was tense. It was clear how much expectations were weighing on him. That sounds very you. You nod in agreement. I wish you the best. You shrugged. You wondered why he chose to confess that to you. Cove chewed at his own bottom lip. When he realized you weren't going to reply, he sighed. No, I'm gonna say, that sounds very you. Cove chuckled, and the tension he was holding in his shoulders appeared to loosen. I think so too. Cove looked up to the sky. It was dotted with stars.
See you
He
tomorrow.
smiled. Well, I'll see you tomorrow, Hark. Then Cove started walking away, but you remained there, frozen in the middle of the street. You watched him and wondered, how many more times will he be able to say that he'll see you tomorrow? Finally, you turned towards your own house. You vowed to yourself that you would make the most of every moment you had this summer. Nice. Cool. Whew. I believe there's nothing new here because Derek doesn't appear in any of these moments. But I believe there's going to be new stuff once the summer ended. So, let's jump right into it. All right, we're not going to waste any time. Summer is ending. Just jump right into it. And then summer ended. You're going to the next step? Yes. Moths bounced against your window, attracted by the light of your room. A siren call in the slowly darkening sky. Just as the day was coming to an end, so too would summer. Liz would be moving back into the dorms before long. Luckily, Lee had been able to come stay for a short trip before her own new journey began. She'd officially been accepted to her first choice college a few weeks ago. That was her last chance to see you all in person. You flicked through the plans for the next few months, realizing that you didn't even know when you'd have the opportunity for everyone to be in the same place again. It was hard to think that you'd likely be seeing even less of your cousin going forward, but you were delighted that she was pursuing her dreams. While you were still with each other, your family was going to have dinner together. As ever, the Holdens were tagging along too. You were going to Chinese restaurant. Your destination was that tropical place. We went to the Chinese restaurant last time, so this time, we're going to go to the tropical place. You hadn't really discovered the tropical restaurant until you were a bit older, but everyone's enthusiasm had resulted in so many visits that you'd more than made up for lost time. Liz and Lee were excited to squeeze in another trip before setting off again. Technically, you were getting ready to go out, though your mind was only half on the task. It was a pleasantly warm evening, the kind that epitomized the vacation feeling, and you were in no mood to spoil it by rushing around. While idly gazing at your room, you spotted a small cluster of unopened envelopes that must have been left for you by a parent earlier. You headed over to the table to flick through for anything of interest. As a child, any correspondence felt exciting due to its rarity. You recognized now that most of it was mundane, but you were checking any mail you got more regularly of late. There was something you were expecting. You stopped at a crisp white envelope. The logo proudly proclaimed the sender, a school you applied to. You took a deep breath and read it. You opened it instantly. You hesitated, worried about the possibility of bad news. You took a deep breath and read it. This next step would take nerve. You closed your eyes as you breathed deep, the air slipping through your lips as you opened your eyes once more. You pulled apart the glue flap on the front of the envelope and extracted the letter. Your eyes darted over the message, rushing past the pleasantries to get to the heart of the matter. The blood pounding in your ears deafened you to the world outside that was contained within these letters. Your heart skidded to a halt as you read your verdict. You'd been accepted. Heck yeah, you were ecstatic. You were relieved. You could barely believe it. Bouncing on the walls of your feet, you pressed the letter to your chest as your excitement bubbled over. You had to tell your family right away. You'd make an announcement at dinner. You wanted to keep this news to yourself for now. I'll make an announcement at dinner. You tried your best to finish getting yourself ready for the dinner ahead. It was a strain. Your mind had only half been on the task before. Now with the news fresh in your mind, it was a struggle to concentrate on anything else. You kept having to recall your thoughts away from the future and back to the present. Time was against you. Mom soon called from downstairs that it was time to go. You had to check the time, sure that you had 10 or at least 5 minutes left. You were wrong. You tore down the stairs, attempting to juggle your composure among the hurry and excitement. Your moms, who turned to greet you as you arrived, swapped silent, knowing looks. They couldn't possibly have figured out what happened, or so you hoped. As your moms, they were pretty good at telling things without being told. You watched them, hunting for any further signs that they were on the case, but none came. For now, it didn't seem like they knew what was happening. Not exactly, at least, but things were definitely happening, and even if they didn't know for sure what you were cooking up, they could smell something in the air. Everyone piled into the car. While it was marketed as being suitable to hold 5 people, in practice it made for a very tight fit. Your mom, sitting in the front, were fine. You, Liz, and Lee were squished into the back, Lee in the middle, wedged between you and your sister. But Mom was an excellent timekeeper. Thanks to her efforts, you pulled up near the restaurant on time. The process of getting out of the car was slightly easier than squeezing into it, with much less coordination required to release seatbelts than to secure them. I can relate, definitely. You gave Lee a hand as she clambered out from the middle seat and then headed into the building as a group. A waiter greeted you as you entered. Ma let him know how many of you there would be in total and when to arrange a table that met your needs. He returned promptly to guide you to your seats. You perched comfortably in your chair, your head held aloft as if buoyed by today's good fortune. Your family settled down around you, all cheerful and looking forward to the evening ahead. Your drinks order had just been taken when the Holdens came through the door. They were pointed in your direction, though with Mom waving an arm in the air, it was hardly necessary. Cove and Mr. Holden came to join you at the table. As greetings were being exchanged, Cove took a seat opposite your ma. Mr. Holden took a free seat next to him.
Hi.
It's great to see you. Glad you could make it. Hello, everyone. You wouldn't believe how hungry I am.
I see.
You came to the right place then. There was some laughter, though Liz groaned playfully, shaking her head at Mom's sense of humor. Growing up, she'd have complained, and Mom would have responded by making another comment. Liz had mellowed over the years, but she still made a show of despairing at Mom's jokes. Her reaction to them had become a joke in its own right. Menus were soon passed around, and a temporary hush fell over the table as everyone read. It didn't last long, punctured by comments about what people had eaten here before and light chatter about what people were considering tonight. Once the waiter disappeared with your orders, Cliff piped up.
Okay.
So, I've got some good news. Kyra's making a trip out here tomorrow. Cove nodded, turning from his father to the rest of the table. Yeah, we talked about it and figured it was a good time for everyone.
Very
That's
nice.
great! Everyone reacted positively to the news, though Ma looked wistful.
It's a shame.
If only we'd known. Here we are having a big meal without her. If we'd waited one day, she could have joined us. Mom patted Ma on the back, gently nudging her from the realm of possibilities and what-ifs and back to the evening that was going so well. Chin up. Lee and Liz will still be here tomorrow. We'll just have to throw another get-together and keep the fun train chugging along. That's what I would say. Ma smiled warmly, taking Mom's hand in hers. That's true. There's plenty to celebrate right now, but there will be more good news and good times on the horizon. Right. And speaking of, that's not all we've got either. Mr. Holden's eyes were alight as he sat up straight in his chair, face angled towards his son. He barely let a beat go by before nudging Cove with his elbow, pushing him to follow up on the announcement. He was the very picture of a proud papa. Cove shied from the limelight, tucking his head down and staring at his lap as he spoke. Well, it's just I've switched over to working full-time instead of only part-time. Plus, I've been looking at apartments. There's a few I can choose from. He flicked his gaze up at everyone around the table, a smile creeping over his face. I'll be pretty busy going forward. Congratulations, Cove. I'm happy for you. Mr. Holden gripped one of Cove's shoulders and gave it a loving shake. His excitement couldn't be contained. Incredible. Cove's actually going to make it to adulthood. It's a miracle. Mr. Holden leaned back in his chair, staring up at the ceiling in mock wonder.
I'm so glad.
I wasn't convinced I'd been able to rear a kid all the way to this point, but thankfully I lucked out and got the best boy a dad could have asked for. Dad? Cove blinkered his vision with his hands on the side of his face, temporarily blocking his father from sight. Despite his general bashfulness, which left him unable to meet anyone's eyes after all the attention thrust his way, he was happy. Thanks. I was really lucky too. You're a good dad. Aw, come here. Mr. Holden threw an arm around Cove's neck, pulling him into as close of a hug as the seating allowed. He rubbed his cheek on the top of his son's head while Cove chuckled, accepting the affection with good humor. You tapped on your glass with a fork, something you'd seen done in movies when people wanted attention. It didn't make quite the same noise, possibly because your glass was a tumbler and not a champagne flute, but everyone looked in your direction anyway. I've got something to announce too. Of course.
Yeah.
Lay it on us. I got my acceptance letter today. I'll be going to college soon.
You're
Nice,
fantastic.
Hark!
Good job.
That's wonderful, sweetie. Ma roped you into a hug, her arms quicker than any lasso. You were thankful you were sat next to her. If not, you didn't doubt that she would have dived over the table to reach you in her excitement. Hey, let me in on the hug. Your moms pincered you in a hug, leaning from their chairs to squeeze you in tandem. Liz beamed at you from across the table. Good job, Hark. Lee didn't hide her excitement, clapping her hands in open delight.
Seriously?
That's amazing! You're gonna be amazing! Mr. Holden gave you a thumbs up.
Good.
Impressive. You're a good kid. The world's your oyster. Cove smiled at you from the other end of the table.
Cool.
That's cool. You looked around at the faces of the company here. You'd been on this journey with everyone here for years, seen them falter and grow, and they had watched you go through the same. Now you were striking out a new path. Cove was leaving his family home, Liz was heading back to college, while Lee was staring at hers. I like to believe I strategically applied to the same college as Derek. Strategically. You were all heading in different directions, to different destinations, some near and some far, but it wouldn't be long until you were all going your own way. Your heart swelled with pride for everyone. It was bittersweet. The thought troubled you. It was bittersweet. You turned your head to the side, wistful, not wanting to spoil the evening with your troubles. You were glad that everyone was succeeding, but the idea of splitting up gave you a twinge of regret. These people had been key pillars in your life. Days ahead without them, no matter how bright and shiny, felt a little empty, like a theme park after closing time. But you focused your mind on the sweet side, your mind filled with the bitter part. You focused your mind on the sweet side. New adventures were still ahead, and you could encourage that optimism. Things relaxed, and you took a sip from your drink. Lee idly tapped the table and got your attention. I'm so excited to try this place. I'm not sure if I've ever really eaten here. It's more Hark's place than mine. Let's hope it's good. All the restaurants in the area are pretty top-notch in my humble opinion. We'll see. It was a challenge issued. Liz carried herself like some sort of professional food critic, and Mom snorted. Tough crowd. Jeez, Liz. Ma giggled and chimed in as well, much to Liz's embarrassment. That's right, Lizzie. Jeez. Oh, jeez, Louise. Jeez. Rude. Hey, be nice to Liz. You shook her head at all the silliness. Why was your family like this? Jeez. No, I'm gonna say jeez. Liz put a hand over her eyes in mock offense.
Rude.
I hardly say jeez anymore. Cove smirked and turned to your sister. You leaned forward in your seat. Huh. Jeez. Everyone burst out laughing, besides Liz, of course. She smirked. No one could ever accuse your family of being no fun. Night fell soon after everyone finished their meals, and before you knew it, you were standing in the parking lot saying your goodbyes and packing up the cars to go home. After the last of the chores were done, your family spent some more time together. The rest of the night felt like it was going by in a blink of an eye, and somehow the time came to retire to your room to sleep. You pulled your covers up under your chin and settled down for the night, getting warm and cozy. With the sounds of the ocean waves crashing a little way away, you relaxed into your pillow and let out a deep breath. It wasn't long before your eyes were growing heavy and you drifted off into a peaceful sleep. The next morning you woke slowly from a comfortable dream, finding yourself safe and warm and tucked up in bed. With a small stretch, you opened your eyes to the sun shining into the window. After waking up a little more and getting ready, you headed downstairs to find your family all gathered around the kitchen area. Good morning. You greeted them all, receiving a chorus of good mornings back in return. You nodded in acknowledgement as you headed into the kitchen to find some breakfast. A knock at the front door caught your attention, and curiosity pulled you to follow several steps behind Mom as she went to answer it. Cove was waiting there with both of his parents. Morning. Hi there. Surprised at the sight, Mom paused a moment and then she pulled Kyra into a big hug. Meanwhile, you approached the doorway and flashed a small smile at Cove. Kyra, it's been too long. I know, time's been flying. Kyra's gaze slid over to you. She waved.
Hey, yeah.
Hi there, Hark. Hi. It took you long enough to come back here. You waved back. You smiled at her. You hugged her. I'll wave back. Focusing more on speaking, your hand waved rapidly back and forth. Kyra chuckled and glanced amusingly at Cove. Right? I'm doing wonderful now that I'm with my not-so-little mister again. Enough of standing around out there. Come on in. Mom moved aside to usher the group in and guided them to the living room. Before anyone could get settled in, Mom spoke up. You're all welcome to stay for breakfast.
Of course.
Yes, we'd be thrilled to host you. There were eager nods from Mr. Holden and Kyra, but Cove looked around the room filled with familiar faces before speaking up. Maybe, instead of staying here, why don't we go to the beach? A scenic picnic, eh? Mr. Holden crossed his arms and contemplated that idea happily. Excited, Kyra clapped her hands together. Oh, we could really make a day out of it. Might as well enjoy the beach while we can. That sounds lovely, Cove. Everyone else put in their own agreement with Cove's suggestion. Before long, both families dispersed, getting everything ready. Sandwiches had to be made, water, sunscreen, towels, and more needed to be gathered and packed. An hour later, both your family and Cove's were walking down the old path to the beach. The morning was already turning into a bright and beautiful day. You honestly couldn't ask for better weather for a beach trip. The moment you laid your eyes on the full view of the ocean, you stopped and stood there mesmerized. It didn't matter that you grew up there. The sight always filled you with wonder. Hey, Hark?
So?
I was thinking about calling Terry and Miranda, see if they can come too. Everyone else is pretty much already here, so would your family mind? Wow, you had a good idea. He chuckled, his mouth pulled into a bent smile. It had to happen sometime, even with Clifford, surprise, Holden raising me. That had you laughing this time. You were already eager for your friends to join you there. Hey, Mom. Ma? They both stopped what they were doing and turned towards you. Immediately you darted over to them. I have a question. Would it be alright if Terry and Miranda came by? I don't see why not. Ma looked to Mom to see what she thought, and she nodded in agreement. Mom then shot a glance over to Mr. Holden and Kyra, knowing that they had likely heard everything.
You all right with that?
Cliff, Kyra, what do you two think? The more the merrier.
Okay.
Of course they're welcome to come. Of course they're welcome with me. Thanks. Delighted you nodded and turned on your heels. Cove was still several feet away, talking to Lee and Liz, likely about the same topic. With a beaming smile, you gave him a thumbs up, and the two of them must have also approved, as Cove quickly got his phone out and started making the calls. At that, you turned your attention to helping with the picnic setup. Unexpectedly, your phone started ringing. You dug it out, curious to see the caller ID. Feeling your heart jump with excitement, you answered the video call request. It was Derek! My boy! A man. He's now a man. Hey! This is a surprise. I thought you disappeared. Where's... Oh. Derek. Oh, Derek. I don't remember this. I don't remember his sprite showing up at this part the last time I played this. I think they added this with the Derek DLC. Derek. Nope, I have not. I hope it's at least a good surprise. A very good one. He chuckled at that, and your smile widened. So, what's... Oh, look at his eyes. His beautiful, gorgeous green eyes. And I love his hair. Look at that. Look at that. I love his hair. Oh. And his beautiful green eyes. Oh my goodness, Derek. So, what's up? The voice that came through was much deeper than it'd been when you first met, but it still had the exact same amount of enthusiasm of a kid. Have you been enjoying these crazy summer days? Yeah, I have. Not without you. Yeah, I have. It's been amazing. There's been ups and downs. It's been memorable to say the least. I would have enjoyed them more if you'd been there. He sighed deeply into the phone. You frowned, trying to imagine how this summer would have gone if things were different with him. Sorry. But if it helps, I was thinking the exact same thing about you. Distance sucks, huh? Yeah, which is why I'm going to be joining your college. But what about you? How's your summer been? You were beyond curious to know what Derek had been up to since the last time you spoke. He chuckled, noticing your invested tone. Honestly, it's just been slammed with stuff lately. College applications and scholarship inquiries. What else is new? What else is new? Well, I bet you're even more toned now, you flirted. Your only real struggle will be choosing which place to go. They'll all be desperate to have you. I wish you nothing but luck. What else is new? Well, I bet you're even more toned now, you flirted. Faintly, you heard a slight hitch in his breathing. You smirked. You're right about that one. I hope you can see it in person sometimes. Heck yes! You're too good. You're too good to us, Derek. You're way too good to us. I hope you can see it in person sometime. He spoke so softly, it was like he was whispering it to you. There was no stopping the grin that grew on your face. You could only hope no one asked what was so interesting. I hope so too. Oh hey, I finally got the chance to say this. I met that boy again, the dancer from the Cyprus Summer Soiree. Huh? Wait, hold on. I need a second for my brain to catch up. That was fair. The human mind only had so much processing power, and that revelation was an overload. One thing I'm missing right now is the voice actor for Derek. Like, stage 3 or step 3 voice actor for Derek would have been a nice touch. It's okay, though. I'm pretty sure there's a step 4 one. You waited patiently in semi-silence. Some muffled mumbles came over the speaker, as well as a scratchy interference that you suspected was Derek actually scratching his ear near the phone. Alright, so I'm breaking this down. There was a time that you took me to the country club when we were... There was that time you took me to the country club when we were barely teenagers? Yes. And I asked you to show me around and we went on a walk? Yeah. Then we ended up in a totally different party for a whole other group of people that we weren't supposed to be at? The confirmation process continued. Right. In that party, we talked to a kid around our age to ask what was going on, and he told us what I said before about it being a private occasion for people who were not us. It was for a dance circuit. You've got it. That's who you met? Correct as always. His name is Baxter. He rented the house right next to Cove's. No way. How did you remember him? He remembered me. And you too. He did? You verified reality for Derek for a final time. He did. He said your bow tie was cute. He said you were short. I have no idea how he recognized me. It was so weird. I'm still amazed it happened. You could understand Derek this week. He said your bow tie was cute. So was the rest of you. Whoa, I didn't remember I wore a bow tie. He's superhuman. But hey, I can live with that being my legacy. Baxter the dancer, huh? Your summer was even more exciting than I would have guessed, and I had banked on it being decently wild. And yours is exactly as eventful as I thought it'd be. Yeah, it always is. The distant tone in his voice made him feel even further away from you than he was. That wasn't what you had wanted, and you attempted to bring the topic back to something cheerier. What's going on with your family? Are George and Nico being good? My little brothers are little punks, but I guess they're doing alright. I want to see what George and Nico look like now. Like 5 years later. So, Nico would be like, what? 10? 9? George would be 14 or something? 15? I don't know. You both laughed at that. It was easy to imagine the grin on his face. Mom and Dad are fine. That's great. My moms are too. Turning your attention back to your surroundings, you smiled warmly at your family buzzing around. Towels were laid out and chairs and umbrellas were being set up. Actually, I'm out with my moms right now. Liz and Lee are visiting too. Are we able to have Derek come here? Is he able to come visit us this time? Then why was that, if that's so, why was that missing in the normal vanilla? I'm out with my moms right now. Liz and Lee are here visiting too. Oh, that's fun. If that's the deal, I'll let you get back to it. Are you sure? I don't mind. Uh-huh, I'm sure. I'm not about to lose your number. Mwah. Mwah. Come back to me, Derek. Come back to me. Okay. Bye. Bye, Hark. Have a heck of a day. Oh, it already has been now that I've spoken to you. Hanging up, the conversation left you energized and in good spirits. It was exactly what you needed to make this day even better. You hurried over to your mom's and helped put the rest of the food out. In moments, you noticed Cove at your side. So what's the verdict on those invitations? They're gonna come. Yes!
Yeah.
They'll meet us here later today. Shouldn't be too long. I can't wait. Once the setup was done, everyone got comfortable and dug into the food. You couldn't remember the last time breakfast tasted this good, but you attributed it to the gorgeous ocean view and soothing sea breeze. Morning swiftly gave way to afternoon, and a very recognizable face came walking down to the shore. Baxter seemed momentarily surprised to see you all there. He pleasantly approached the wave.
Hello, folks.
Hello there. I didn't mean to intrude on the party. I was coming down to get some fresh air. Oh, you didn't intrude in anything. You're welcome to join us. We brought plenty of towels and food and sunscreen. Yeah, you're one of the neighbors. Kick back and relax with us.
Thank you.
Well, I can't possibly say no to that. Thank you. Baxter's gaze moved over to you and Cove. He smiled. Hark, Cove, long time no see. Hi. You waved from where you leisurely sat and Cove nodded. It was then that Baxter noticed the faces he didn't immediately recognize from around the neighborhood. He turned up his charm even more for the introductions. Excuse me, I'm Baxter Ward. I'm sorry we haven't met before. Well, we're not typically from around this area, just visiting. I'm Cove's mom. A few big giggles escaped Lee as she watched Baxter carefully. When his attention turned to her now, she held out a hand. Hi, I'm Lee, Hark and Liz's cousin. Baxter shook it and then took a step back. Lee's smile grew. Lee is such a pretty girl. I love having her as a cousin. I'll remember that. It's very nice to meet you both. After that, Baxter spent some time getting better acquainted with everyone, and Terry and Miranda arrived excitedly. You took a moment to introduce the three, and conversation shifted to what you all would do next.
In that case,
We could do a few rounds of volleyball. There's plenty of us now.
is that all right?
Could I play? Of course.